What's up, guys? It's G here, and welcome back to the Grizzly Life podcast. In this episode, Colton covers a little bit of everything, from updates on both Priority Fitness and Grizzly Fitness, to some personal updates and a few takeaways from recent books he's been diving into. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications. Now let's get into episode 26 of the Grizzly Life podcast.
Hello, everybody. Episode 26 of many. I gotta admit, I made a mistake here with Memorial Day weekend. I totally blanked on recording my episode, so this is me holding myself accountable. I made a mistake. My goal is to be every Tuesday and Thursday, released at the same times, and now, because of my mistake, we're recording on Tuesday, which will be released Tuesday evening, May 27th. So, we all make mistakes. It's all good. I shoot to not do this again. I shoot to be more proactive and get these episodes, recorded ahead of time. So this is just kind of me talking out loud to myself and saying I need to do a better job. So anyways, episode 26. Thank you guys for listening thus far. Still, same stuff, different day. We're looking to get our podcast studio built. We're looking to, bring on guests and do video. We do have a wall painted, so I think we're just gonna have to kind of schedule something next week and shoot to get some kind of video aspect rolling. I know G, the producer, my brother, he has gotten some of the stuff we need to begin producing that stuff, so it's all gonna be trial and error, but that's kind of an update there. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Colton Burt. I am now 27 years old. Birthday was last week, Monday, the 19th of May. I own we've got 6 fitness center locations, Grizzly Fitness. They are 24/7 facilities, and we do personal training there as well and all that stuff. We do sell apparel and supplements. We've got 4 pieces of real estate, and we've got another fitness equipment moving and install company by the name Priority Fitness. So we do everything gym equipment related. We move it, we sell it, we service it. We put it in our own gyms, all that kind of stuff. So for those of you who don't know, that's what we got going on. And we've got the Grizzly Life podcast, which which you're listening to now. So, we are doing some updates, renovations, however you want to say it, to our thegrizzlylife.com. G, the producer, has been working on that. So we've got a lot cleaner look coming to that. So we're excited to see that. I would like to give you guys an update. Last week we were talking about the egg fast that I was on. Basically, my diet was 2 dozen eggs a day for 3 days. I don't recommend doing it for a long term. I like to experiment on myself and just kind of see what works and what doesn't. But I did 2 dozen eggs a day for 3 days, and I was allowed 1 to 2 protein shakes a day if needed. I didn't actually intend on doing this. I was on the road last week, Tuesday, for an install for Priority Fitness, and then I meal prepped 2 dozen eggs. That's all I ate that day, and my protein shake. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this the next 2 days and just see what happens. The other thing was I had done the InBody, which is for those of you who don't know what that is, the InBody is a more in-depth scale, essentially, that can kind of give you body fat, water weight, muscle mass, lean body mass, all that kind of stuff in your body, right? So it takes 30 seconds. You've got a printout result. I was doing this very hardcore last year into the beginning of 2025 with my carnivore diet because I enjoyed seeing how much fat I was losing on a week-to-week basis. So every Friday morning, after a really good week of lifting and hitting all my goals for the week, I would do my InBody Friday morning, and I would see, wow, I'm up muscle or down fat or whatever. So I, using this episode again as an accountability tool, I got lazy the last 4 or 5 months. I have not weighed in as of recent. I had actually gained about 5 pounds of body fat. I had also put on 2 to 3 pounds of muscle mass as well, but I need to get back at it. I'm still training hard. I'm still eating good, but clearly I've been off just a little bit, and it's been 5 months since I've checked in on myself. So I could tell that I was feeling a little bit, more body mass, body fat. But anyways, so I'm gonna get back to weighing in on a week-to-week basis. I am going to keep a closer eye on that. But where I was going with this, the egg fast update, in 3 days' time. I think 4 days technically, because I didn't weigh in on I think it was like 4 days of dieting. So I weighed in, I think, Saturday morning, started the egg fast on Tuesday. So I had an extra day in there. of eating good as well. So I think on Friday it was like mainly eggs and a steak or something. So in the 4-day window, I actually dropped, I believe it was 0.8 pounds of body fat. So pretty good result for just 3-4 days of eating eggs or whatever. So I'm going to continue doing it week to week. I'll give you guys updates on kind of my fitness journey and how that's looking. Anything I change up in my diet, I will also bring up. But I was rather upset with myself, like I said, for not checking in on myself the last 4 or 5 months. That time just kind of it's all compounding. It just keeps building on itself. So if you kind of let yourself go and you don't worry about it, that's what happens. It'll kind of come back to bite you. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Fitness wise, I wanted to kind of share some of my fitness goals for, I birthday came recently. I know I kind of mentioned I was going to maybe go over some of my goals, things that I want to accomplish this year, things that I want to get into. I have been looking at some rental or real estate properties to get involved in. A lot of them would be a lot of work. We really like old buildings that need a lot of work. We like seeing, those buildings come back to life. That's what we do with our facilities right now, our gyms. Our building in Princeton we just bought is from the late 1800s, early 1900s. And, it's a project, but we love to do that. We love to kind of see those buildings come back to life. So last week and this week, I toured 2 other buildings in one of the towns we're at. And they would basically be some commercial space, but also apartments. The apartments are attractive. The commercial space, I am not so certain yet on what we could do with it as far as what businesses we could bring into the town. But yeah, so, year 27, some things that I'd like to accomplish this year. I'd really like to get more into the real estate game, which I know I mentioned. I think multifamily or apartment living and that kind of stuff is the route I'd like to go. I'd like to see if we could get another maybe couple gym locations opened up. It's not a very specific goal, I know, but we've kind of taken a step back recently on expanding the gyms extremely quickly because we've been working more on our personal training and systems of our businesses. So basically all of 2025 has been cleaning up systems within our company. So Priority Fitness, working on the warehouse, getting it more organized, making it make sense, getting it cleaned up, like just having a system involved at the warehouse. Priority Fitness in specific, we're all a bunch of young guys for the most part. So we just kind of act like a bunch of college dudes, just like working hard and not worrying about the fine details. Well, this year we kind of, continued working hard, but we kind of took the approach of let's figure out how we run this business and how we can run it better. So I want to continue doing that as we continue to grow. And something I was just talking to about, who was I? I can't remember. I think I was talking to Jacob, my business partner, at our Oshkosh facility over the weekend. Got a bunch of golfing done over Memorial Day weekend. And so one of my days I was golfing with Jacob. And one of the things that I was saying was, everybody wants to be on top. Everybody wants to make all this money. They always think like, once I make X amount of dollars, I'll be so happy. Not that money cannot make you happy. I think that's definitely a tool, a product that will increase happiness, of course. But I think it's really the climb, the journey, the building the business to get to where you want to go. So what I was explaining to him was, in 5 years from now, we want to be in a much different spot financially, but also with our gym in Oshkosh, especially or specifically. So in 5 years from, I'm thinking like we're working on these systems, and what happens is you start systematizing everything, and we want to make sure we maintain the mom and pop culture. We don't want to feel corporate, right? So like there's like a fine line on like, making sure there's systems and organizations, but people can still be authentic and be themselves, right? So, but it was just kind of interesting. In 5 years' time, it's not going to be the same journey. Now we're still going to be building something, and it's going to be a journey and a ladder to climb. But comparative to 6 years ago, the journey that we were building and the stories we were creating aren't anything like they are now. We still have a lot of fun stories. We still have a lot of good things that happen. We still have a lot of things that we fuck up on, but we were just having a little conversation, I guess is where I'm going, and just knowing in 3 to 5 years that we're going to be in a different spot financially. It's going to be a different journey we're climbing, although it's going to be the same. It's just interesting to think about because just all the knowledge that you gain over the years and kind of the different direction we can go with it. So, sorry, I'm just kind of rambling here on this point, but we're kind of reminiscing basically on the early years comparative to now. This weekend, I also reflected a lot on a lot of the good things and bad things that have come over the years and the stories that have been created through Priority Fitness and Grizzly Fitness and the issues that we've done. And, you know, I've talked about it before, but Priority Fitness originally didn't have a loading dock. We didn't have a forklift. We'd get a semi full of brand new gym equipment shipped to our warehouse, and me and a couple other guys would just be hand unloading, treadmills that are stacked 3 high. So it was never an easy process, and it was just we don't have stories like that anymore because we've progressed and we've gone in the right direction. We've got more moving supplies and a forklift or a loading dock or all of these things. So just interesting to see how you progress, and that mountain you climb is the journey that you want to be on. That's the most fun part of it. The money's a byproduct, but that journey and everybody that's alongside of you and the people cheering you on, and those are the things those are the reasons you do what you want to do, or the reasons you build a business for yourself or with other people. That journey itself. Let's move on to some updates or some exciting things to kind of talk about. Priority Fitness, I believe, it's been I think I mentioned this on the last episode as well, but Priority Fitness has kind of had a slower year. It's been inconsistently busy, smaller jobs. But we have locked in some really big jobs here over the next couple weeks. We just had one last week in Monroe, which is where I blew the tire out, or when I blew the trailer tire out on the way down there. We've actually got to go back there again in, I believe, 2 weeks. We're buying out some equipment from there. We're doing a big equipment move. That will be a nice big job. We'll have a bunch of guys on that one. We've also got a big job next week, Tuesday, in Milwaukee area. Another big install and extraction and equipment move. So while we're on site, we're moving a bunch of stuff around for them. So that'll be another full day of equipment moving. This Friday, for anybody who's listening, and they're kind of like I assume most of the people listening are local people. This Friday, we're actually going to Ripon College. We're actually purchasing some plates from their weight room there. So that's kind of a nice little one too. And then I believe, well, I think I maybe mentioned this in the last one too. We took on 3 Planet Fitness installs July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So basically the entire Priority Fitness crew, 8 to 10 of us will be staying overnight, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, home for 4th of July on that Friday. So it's just good stuff to talk about. Priority Fitness work is picking up a little bit. We're looking to really work on, we've talking about the systems, but we want to work on getting our own business for that company, doing our own advertising, do our own Facebook ads, do our own marketing tactics. A lot of that business for Priority Fitness is business that calls us, like, it's not sales that we have necessarily. It's if other companies sell equipment and they need us to install it, right? So like we're kind of a middleman in a sense. So we want to do a better job on creating our own leads, either making our own sales or more of our own service coming to us versus like just getting contracted out by other companies. So that's one of the things we're going to work on with Priority Fitness as well. Another exciting piece of news, or an exciting thing within Priority Fitness, for those of you who are local as well, we've got some summer help. One of my brother's friends and Chase's friends as well, Brian Enriquez, is now working for us. So those of you who are locals and know who that is, we have got Brian on the team for the summer. So he'll be helping out a lot on installs, equipment moves. He'll learn how to build some stuff with his hands in the warehouse. But we're excited to have him as well. So that's kind of a wrap on Priority Fitness and where we're at and what's going on with Priority Fitness. That is a current snapshot. I know we've got to still do some work to our trailers and get that stuff updated so that way we don't get stranded on the highway anymore, because I don't really enjoy starting jobs late and sitting roadside and on the side of a highway and just waiting for another company to come help us out. So we need to do a better job of those little things. When we're in business, there's all these little things you do right, and there's all these little things that you just forget about. The simple bring a jack if you've got a trailer, or if anybody's going on a road trip, if you're going camping, if you are just going up north to see your friend or whatever, you should have the basic tools you need to help maybe change a tire, right? Or have a spare. Make sure that you've got all the little stuff good to go. So we need to do a better job of kind of that little checklist and making sure we're well prepared for what we are encountering. So that's a wrap on PF. I'll kind of leave it there. Anything else on Grizzly's side of things? I will announce it a little bit more once it happens, but we are purchasing a basically a piece of land. I will update you guys on what that is once that's finalized, but that should be finalized in the next couple weeks. So another little piece to kind of add in. I'm trying to think what details I do want to tell you guys. It'll just be a nice little add-on for one of our opportunities we're currently involved with. So I'll leave it at that. It'll be cool. I didn't expect it to actually. I called the guy last year, and then he reached out to me like randomly this year saying, "Hey, if you're interested, I'd sell it to you." So pretty good deal. I'll let you guys know more about that once that is finalized in the next couple weeks. I've got a couple more little insights I'll give you guys here. One thing, I finished 2 books recently. I want to touch base on those, but I also, our Oshkosh location, Grizzly O, we did get some new equipment there. We got a new functional trainer. We got some new med ball, slam ball, wall ball stuff. They got like 8 or 10 new barbells as well. And they also got a new assault runner there. So we're still bringing more stuff there. We're still renovating or updating, bringing in new equipment for Grizzly O. So that was exciting to see. They got some new product there. Some new plyo boxes as well. I think our training department will love all of that stuff, and I think it'll just help clean it up. So that's kind of a little update there. I did recently read, I recently completed 2 books actually yesterday, Memorial Day. One of them is called 50 Ways, or maybe it's called Yes. It was basically a book on 50 ways to. It's another persuasion book. I'll find the title for you guys, or maybe I'll throw it in here at the end of the episode. But a couple little takeaways I had on it. One of them, and I mentioned this to our team meeting last week for Grizzly Fitness. Be the devil's advocate. So during our team meetings, this is something that I am going to start encouraging a lot more. A lot of times we make a decision, and we all think we just know, yep, let's just do that. That sounds good. We're all on the same page. But that devil's advocate gives you a different point of view, and it makes you think about what the worst case scenario. It makes you think about a different point. It just makes you pivot a little bit. So what I'm trying to encourage is that we all kind of have that little play the devil's advocate. And a lot of people are nervous to call out or criticize or think that maybe a lot of people are nervous to say, hey, that I don't know if I agree with that idea, right? If you're nervous, just say, hey, I hate to play devil's advocate, but have you thought about it like this or thought about it like that? Or what if this happens or what if that happens? We make a lot of decisions on a day-to-day basis for our gyms, and not all of them have any issues or repercussions, but I'm just saying once in a while there's things that we've missed or things that we forget or things we didn't even think about. And it's not all just from the devil's advocate purpose, but having a well thought out plan and idea and exactly how this is going to work. We need to have that kind of figured out. So play the devil's advocate. I think that's an important thing to consider. Team meetings, building your team, building your business. I think it's just a good thing to get in routine of. So that was one of the items from that book. That was a big thing. The other part of the book, the other little thing that was kind of really cool and interesting from a customer service standpoint, introduce people, your coworkers, your friends, your family, with high praise. And basically what that means, I'll give you guys a couple examples. Let's say I call the Grizzly line and I'm asking for the personal trainer, right? And Sophie answers the customer line and says, oh, no problem. Yeah, I will put you in touch with Chase. He's such a great trainer. He's been in the fitness industry for 10 years now. Or whatever the fact or statistic is that you'd like to give. Obviously, it needs to be truthful. But the cool thing is, if I were to just brag about myself, right? I shake your hand and I brag about myself and toot my own horn and say, hey, my name's Colton and I'm awesome because of all these things. It's going to rub you the wrong way and you're going to kind of say this guy's full of himself. But now, if Sophie introduced you to me and says, hey, this is Colton, my boss. He's awesome. I've been working with him for 2 years and he's been in the business for 10 years. And I just love everything he does or whatever she wants to say. It naturally opens that door. That person that's going to now connect with me feels a lot more at ease. They have a lot more confidence in me. They just feel better about the conversation. They know a little bit about me, whatever. So it was another thing that I gave my Grizzly team. Like, if we're dealing with customers on a day-to-day basis, if there's an opportunity, I'm not saying every time, but if there's an opportunity, somebody reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I'd like to talk to your manager at the Watoma location," or whatever. And I say, "Oh, no problem. I'll connect you with Gavino. He's awesome. He's been with me for the last 3 years. He'll take care of you." Just that little bit of praise right there goes a long ways, and it just makes that customer interaction that much better. Uh, the book I was reading just gives a lot of studies and understandings of like what that little tip and trick will do for you, and like compliance rates and how people just will, again, react to those scenarios. So the devil's advocate's important. Think about it from all angles and just kind of don't be afraid to play that role, but also lift each other up, speak with high praise, introduce your friends, family, coworkers with that high praise. I believe the example was a lot about like a call center, right? I call in and then somebody forwards me to the other department, or real estate. Hey, Joe, I needed to talk to Sandy about my property. I want to sell this little townhome. No problem. Sandy's actually one of our best realtors here. She's been here for 14 years. She actually just did a deal like this one that you're looking to do. So I think you're in great hands, right? It just enhances that experience. So those are a couple of takeaways I had from that book. The other takeaway or the other thought I had on this other book I finished by Alex Hormozy, I believe it was $100 million leads or offers. I'm reading both of them. I just finished one of them. But the interesting thing, the last part of the book was those who you don't lose if you don't quit, basically, right? So let me pull up exactly how it said so I don't sound like you cannot lose if you do not quit. And his little example at the end of it was this little, if two people, I'll try to recite this as good as I can. If you had two die and two people, and one die had 200 sides and one die had 20 sides, and all the sides were red besides one, so there's one green side to each of these die. Obviously, you don't know which die you get, whether it's the 200 rolls or the 200 sides or the 20 sides. And what you do is every time you roll and it's a green, you get another green side. Every time you roll red, nothing happens. You got to roll again. And so what happens in life, and again, you don't know you don't know how many rolls it's going to take to roll green. You don't know how many sides of the die you have. You're just rolling until you get a green, until you get a green, until you get a green, until all the sides are green. And so the example is basically that you and another person are rolling, and the average person will roll red, they'll roll red, they'll roll red, they'll roll a green, they're kind of upset, they roll red, they do this, and they're not happy. It's not happening fast enough. They're not getting the greens they want. They're not accomplishing or achieving kind of what they set out to be, or they're complaining. On the other hand, they see you're constantly rolling your dice. You're constantly rolling the dice. It's taking you forever, but you're getting a green, then you're getting another green, then you're getting another green. Eventually, you're getting that die to be all green. And so that average person is just watching you try to be the best the average person is rolling that die and they're only getting a couple greens and they're quitting because they're annoyed or whatever. And you continue rolling your die until you get all greens. It's basically like the never giving up, keep pushing forward. The average person looks at you as me as a business owner. That's basically what it's trying to say, right? Is if you never give up, if you never quit, you never lose. You continue rolling the die, you continue getting out of bed, you continue pushing for what you want in life, and you get what you want. You don't give up, you don't lose. The average person doesn't look at it quite like that. They roll the die a couple times, they see one success here, but then they roll it a couple more times and they lose, or they're not happy, they're not progressing, and they give up, right? So that's just kind of like a standard business thing, but it's not just business related. It's everything you do in life. It's what you want to be the best at. It's the best version of you. So I think that relates back a lot to kind of what we talk a lot about on this podcast, right? Is being 1% better, being the best you, showing that you can, proving not only to yourself, but to everyone else, like what you're capable of, right? So I didn't recite that, the dice verbatim, word for word, but it is a good thing to realize. It's just a kind of a cool little thing at the end of that book. So the other one other little takeaway I had at the end of that book, advertising, ad spend. You got to spend a lot of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money to make a lot of money, but he had an example in there where he did a flyers for his original gym in 2014. He did 300 flyers for his facility, and that's because that's what his mentor told him to do. He didn't say 300 flyers. His mentor just told him, go do flyers. Alex does 300 flyers, calls back a couple days later, said he got no calls. He actually had one call from somebody who claims that he damaged his Mercedes-Benz by putting the flyer under the windshield wiper. But anyways, there was no calls. And so then he goes back to his mentor and says, oh, I didn't get any calls. And the mentor goes, well, how many flyers you do? Alex goes, 300. And the mentor goes, well, we do 5,000 flyers a day, different flyer every day for 30 days. That's what we find out what works. So it's just kind of interesting. The big dogs out there, the amount of money they're willing to spend on advertising. We spend, $10 a day on ads, and we're like, oh, wow, we don't know if we should spend any more. Obviously, small towns are going to be a little bit different, but it's just kind of that a lot of businesses have what's called an advertising budget. But in all reality, you need to figure out what works and kind of what the home run is in the advertising game, especially on the Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and that. So sometimes you got to trial and error and figure out what works for your company or your business. So anyways, I'll quit rambling on this episode. Today was just kind of a little bit of everything. So we appreciate you guys tuning in to episode 26 of many. Again, sorry. I'm apologizing to everybody for me not getting this episode done on time and releasing it at the normal time that we do. So thanks for tuning in. We'll get another one recorded tomorrow for Thursday right away, and we will catch you on the next one. Oh, and Snapchat, Colton.Burt, Colton, period, Burt. Instagram, Facebook, ColtonBurt19. Hit me up on there. Email us, marketing@fitnessgrizzly.com. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.